Argentina have beaten South Africa for the first time in 6 years, and in doing so, they have made sure that they can still win the Rugby Championship. A stunning 1-point win for the first time in Los Pumas history. They have beaten New Zealand, Australia and the Springboks in the same calendar year. We have to congratulate them, and I, for one, think that they deserve their victory. South Africa did not play their best match, but that's not Argentina's problem. They outplayed us and they won, and we congratulate them for this. It means that we will have a one-match shootout in Nelspruit next week with the Rugby Championship title on the line. South Africa probably will still get there in the end. They only need 1 point on the log, whereas the Pumas will need to win and secure a bonus point and prevent South Africa from getting a bonus point at the same time. In this episode, we are going to break down for you how Argentina beat South Africa in Santiago Del Estero. We'll look at the match in chronological order, starting with the first scrum of the match, because that's where it looked like South Africa was going to exert dominance from the very beginning. In just the second minute of the match, the first scrum of the fixture took place. South Africa won that encounter quite comfortably. Oxenchair, it has to be said, had a very, very good match for the Boks. And a minute and a half later, Apelele Fassi was over the try line for the first 5-pointer of the match, and it looked like it was a very good start for the Springboks. From a line-out, we mauled, the ball moved its way down the back line, and Fassi went straight through the Argentine defence like a hot knife through butter. Andre Pollard converted, and it was 7-0. And I have to say that that was a beautiful way for the Springboks to start, especially after what we saw against the All Blacks in both matches, actually. We started slowly in Cape Town, and perhaps even slowlier, if that's a word, in Johannesburg at Ellis Park, where we found ourselves trailing by too many points in too short a space of time. So this was nice to see from the Boks, and it actually got better just a couple of minutes later. We played a few phases, some nice short passes through the back line. Jesse Kriel this time going straight through, Pollard with a conversion, and it was 14-0. And at that stage, Andre Pollard had overtaken Mornay Steyn to move into second place on the all-time list of point scorers for the Springboks. Only Percy Montgomery is now ahead of Pollard on that list. And our fly-half added another 3 points to make it 17-0 after just 13 minutes. And at that stage, I was thinking to myself, my goodness, what are we seeing here from our world champions? It was beautiful. I have in the past on this video, or on this channel at least, spoken about what they call Tony Ball. The idea being that this is the kind of style that we can expect from an attacking perspective from the Springboks now, with Tony Brown as our attack coach under Rassie Erasmus. And you know what? We've seen elements of it so far this season, and you can see what they're trying to do. And I've been saying that when the day comes that we click, it's going to be very scary for our opponents. And I think it's fair to say that the Argentines were pretty scared after the first 13 minutes of this. And I thought, some people don't like the term Tony Ball. I've got another idea, or another word for you. How about sexy rugby? We were playing sexy rugby. But things changed very quickly, because just like we were slicing through their defence, all of a sudden, Los Pumas had the opportunity to do the same thing to us. Similar to us, quick passing through the back line, and we saw their fly half, Thomas Albornoz, breaking through the defence, beating his man, eventually offloading to their speedy left winger, Mateo Carreras, who doesn't really need an invitation to make his way to the try line, and all of a sudden the score was 17-7 after Albornoz managed the conversion. And it was about to get worse for South Africa, because next up we received a yellow card. Curtly Arendse, the guilty party on this occasion. Now I have to tell you that when I was watching it on TV and we were seeing it live, as it were, my initial reaction was, oh goodness, this doesn't look good, because it appeared to me that Curtly's shoulder made contact with the chin of the Argentine player. Now that constitutes head contact, and as soon as that happens, it's a yellow card. So you knew automatically it's a yellow card. And then when I looked at it again, I'm like, okay, at least there's not head-on-head contact, because that would be a straight red. Whether we like it or not, whether it's accidental or not, it doesn't matter. Those are the current laws. But having seen another replay from a different angle, I'm happy to say that it appeared as if Kirtley's shoulder made contact with the chin of his opponent, when in actual fact it was shoulder on chest. So I'm very, very happy with that. So you could even say that maybe it was a harsh yellow card for Kirtley Arendse. Nevertheless, we were down to 14 men, and it was time for the Pumas to pounce. And pounce they did. Because even though Albornoz missed the penalty, 4 minutes later they were over the try line. Carreras, this time the man, going on a great run again down that left wing, and he eventually made the pass to my favourite Puma, Pablo Matera, who finished it off, and after the conversion from Albornoz, the score was 17-14, and Argentina were very much back in the game and not looking good, with Kirtley Arendse still at that stage having about 5.5 minutes in the sin bin. Could Argentina take advantage of the one-man advantage? Well, they already did that in the backline, because Carreras was able to exploit the space with Arendse not being on the field at that stage. And then came the try that would take them into the lead in Santiago Del Estero. Now, before I describe that try for you, I want to say something about the crowd at the Estadio Unico Madre de Ciudades. And that is, I believe that Argentine fans are among the most passionate in the world. I've been lucky enough to sit with them at several FIFA Football World Cup matches. And I tell you, it is a wonderful, wonderful experience. If you can attend a football match with Argentina's fans making up the majority of the crowd, that in itself is worth the entrance fee. Never mind what the score is, just to sit there with their fans. It's unbelievable. And for what it's worth, I actually think Mexico's fans are the second best. And that passion extends to rugby. We've also seen it in tennis. Whenever Argentina in the past had a home Davis Cup match, you don't see that anymore because of the change in format. If you're a tennis fan, you'll know about that. I personally don't like it, but that's a side issue. So the crowd, I didn't really hear them. And it was only in the 26th minute that I really started to hear them singing, making a noise, that sort of thing. And they had reason to sing too, because from the line out, Argentina attempted a maul. We did the right thing. It was a just sort of 5 meters from our try line, and we did the right thing by trying to push them out of bounds. However, Joaquin Oviedo, their eighth man, brilliantly managed to offload before crossing the touchline. It was like split-second stuff. If you saw the replay, it really was quite outstanding. He managed to offload to tight head prop Joel Sclavi, who then powered his way over the try line for Argentina. Albornoz missed the conversion, but it didn't matter because Felipe Contepomi's men were in the lead 19-17 at that stage. Not looking good for South Africa, and it was about to get worse. We're 14 men on the field. We have lost our lead. In fact, in all the time that Kirtley Arendse was off the field, Argentina managed to score 12 unanswered points. But luckily, KLA was back on the field a couple of minutes later. But it didn't really help us because it was try time again for Argentina. Again, from a line out, they would maul, and then there was a pick and go, and they won a penalty. This time, Thomas Gajo would pick and go before managing to get the ball to their nippy scrum half, Gonzalo Bertrano, who broke through the Springbok defence quite brilliantly, in my opinion, before eventually offloading to his right to the fly half, Thomas Albornoz, who was having an incredible game, in my view. Albornoz managing to cross the line, and he then converted his own try, 26-17 to Los Pumas, 26 unanswered points at the Estadio Unico Madre de Ciudades, and not looking good at all for the Springboks. But the Boks did manage to get themselves back into the match on the stroke of half-time. Kobus Reinach, we had just won a penalty, and with a quick tap and go, he managed to beat 4 Pumas defenders and cross the line. And even though Andre Pollard missed the conversion, it was 26-22 at half-time. Now, my thoughts at half-time were that everything will be okay once the bomb squad comes on. We'll sort things out and we'll see out the match. We just need a bit of game management, especially in those last 20 minutes. I thought that we needed to tighten our defense. The way Argentina were opening us up was quite concerning, to be perfectly honest. That said, we have seen little bits and pieces of weakening chinks within the Springbok armour in terms of our defence this year, which isn't great to see. But I accept that while we're evolving our play and trying to be more attacking, i.e. Tony ball or sexy rugby, there might be compromises in other areas. We've already seen it at the breakdown. And speaking of which, Argentina were outstanding. I wouldn't say that the breakdown was necessarily something where they were dominating, but certainly situations were being created where the ball was loose far too often for our liking, and that's where the likes of Madre and Marcus Kremer, his partner in crime, were just pouncing and taking full advantage. They were really playing very well. Oviedo was having a good game, but for me the standout Pumas in that first half would have been Madre, Bertrano, Albornoz and Carreras. I thought they were having outstanding games from a Springbok point of view. Kobus Reinach, I thought, was playing well, as was Ruan Norkier. And of course, our lineouts, things were not going so well there. Malcolm Marx missed his jumpers a couple of times, so that's not great. And we've seen it a few times in this season so far, where our lineout has not been functioning as well as we might like. But from a positive point of view, that Springbok scrum was functioning very nicely indeed. Argentina's scrum, to be perfectly honest, was not coping with the power that we were bringing up front. But everything else was going very nicely for Contepomi's men at that stage. Right, so into the second half, 4 minutes in, Handré Pollard slots over a penalty and suddenly it's a 1-point game. And those feelings that I had at halftime about the bomb squad coming on and us taking care of things, it just resonated a little bit more, and you just thought, okay, it's going to be okay. We're going to get out of this one. We're going to win the Rugby Championship today, and then we'll come to Nelspruit next week and have a celebration. But not so fast. And before I say why, 3 minutes later, after that Pollard penalty, members of the bomb squad came on. Now, this is something I want to touch on a little bit, where I think that TV coverage, and indeed something could come from World Rugby on this, to make things better. So, if you are a football fan, you will know that when they do substitutes, the substitute will stand behind the touchline and you have an assistant referee who holds up a board indicating the number of the player who's coming off and indicating the number of the player that is coming on. So let's just say 5 is coming off and 15 is going on, just for argument's sake. I think it would be really, really nice if we introduced something like that in rugby. And the reason I say that is because when the replacements come on and go off indeed, often you don't know who has come on or who has come off. I know that SuperSport in the past has done a pretty good job of putting up a graphic indicating who the players are that have come off and who have gone on, and that's commendable. But I think that maybe something a little bit more obvious would be nice. For example, I don't know what channel you were watching it on last night, but where I was watching it, the commentator wasn't aware of all of the players that had actually come on. So much so that a few minutes after the likes of Eben Etzebeth had come onto the field, Marnie Lebok put a ball into touch, and the commentator expressed an element of surprise that Lebok was even on the field. And I just think that had we done what they do in football, maybe it wouldn't have been a surprise. And I think that that's just an element that would be nice and better. It would make the game a little bit better for everybody concerned. Now, if no one noticed that Lebok was on the field, well, he made sure that they did know he was very much on the park. In the 50th minute, he kicked a penalty to put South Africa into the lead. We were in front, 28-26. Very, very good stuff. Again, just adding to those halftime feelings that everything is going to be okay. However, having said that, Argentina could have put themselves back in front, but Albornoz missed a penalty. So a little bit of a lifeline there for the Springboks. That was actually 3 minutes after Marnie's penalty. But then, with 13 minutes to go, Argentina did take the lead. Albornoz, again, that man, beating several defenders. Going to ground, a ruck is formed and Gerard Steenekamp was unable to get out of the way. Penalty to Los Pumas, and Albornoz does not miss, even though he missed a couple of other kicks on the night, but he didn't miss this one. Suddenly the score was Argentina 29, South Africa 28, but still a good 12 minutes or so left on the clock. No need to panic, we're going to be okay. At least we think we're going to be okay. There's enough time to go and get another 3-pointer. Could we do it? Well, I mentioned earlier the passionate crowd, and it was actually headed in the other direction because I mentioned that moment in the 26th minute where we could clearly hear them, and I felt like it was only in the 74th minute when I could clearly hear them again. And this time it was a 5-meter line out to Argentina. Julian Montoya with the throw-in. This was crucial from a South African point of view, because if we lost that line out, there was all sorts of horrible things that could have happened. They could have mauled from there, broken away, pick and go down the back line, score a try, and then it's game over. Eben Etzebeth, Mr. Colossus, stole the line-out ball to keep South Africa in the match. Now, let's talk a little bit about Etzebeth for a moment. Cap number 127 on this occasion, equaling Victor Matfield's record for all-time Springbok caps. What a player Eben Etzebeth has been for the Springboks. And next week in Nelspruit, it'll be 128, and he will hold the record outright. What a player this man has been for us. And I don't think that there are enough superlatives to describe what a player Eben Etzebeth has been for the world champions. On that occasion, making sure that we're still in the game, and we could have taken the lead just 5 minutes later. This is where it was crucial. The Springboks were attacking, moving down the field, pick and go, rucking, mauling. We got some scrums. We actually attempted to get ourselves a scrum penalty, and even though it looked like the Argentine scrum was wobbling, the referee was not giving us the penalty on that occasion, so Jaden Hendrickse had to continue to play, but the penalty would come shortly thereafter as a result of one of the Argentine tacklers not rolling away. So there we go, Manie Libbok lining up what should be the winning penalty, what is potentially the winning penalty. And I couldn't help but think about Louis Kuhn in that moment. Wonder if you remember in 2003, we played Los Pumas in Port Elizabeth at the old Boetie Rasmus Stadium. We won 26-25, but Argentina were 25-23 ahead in the final minute. And that's when Louis Kuhn had a penalty, probably from a slightly more difficult angle than what Manie Libbok had on this occasion. But I tell you what, I am of the opinion that even if it's right in front, if it's to win the game, it's a difficult kick. And you think of Gavin Hastings at the 1991 Rugby World Cup missing from right in front. Michael Lynagh missed from in front against the Springboks in the opening match in 1995. We've seen these things happen, so you cannot take anything for granted. And on this occasion, Manie Libbok sent the penalty wide of the posts. Just a few minutes later, Argentina were the winners of this match, moving on to 14 points on the log standings, meaning that they still have a chance to win the Rugby Championship for the first time in their history. South Africa, licking their wounds, at least move on to 19, which means that Los Pumas would have to beat South Africa in Nelspruit with a bonus point and prevent the Boks from getting a losing bonus point. So the score would have to be something like 21-12, almost at a minimum. I suppose if they don't convert their tries, maybe 15-6. I think that would be the minimum score for Argentina to beat South Africa to stand any chance of winning the Rugby Championship. Now, let's just say, again, congratulations to the Pumas. They were the better team. They deserved their victory. Apart from the first 13 minutes, South Africa were not on top in this match. I might say that for the first 13, the Springboks were the better team. Then for maybe 25 to 27 minutes, Argentina were the better team. And then it was fairly even for the next 40 minutes. Maybe South Africa slightly on top, but clearly not by enough. My man of the match, Thomas Albornoz. I thought he had a superb game, scoring so many points for Argentina as well. They scored 4 tries in this match, and of the 29 points, he himself would score 14 of those. But now, I suppose we have to address the elephant in the room. Manie Libbok. Okay, let's talk about Manie for a moment. So, what do we know about Manie? He's a creative player. He is a flair player. I think that his creative and flair abilities in the backline are outstanding. And if you were going to judge him purely on those skills, then I would put him ahead of Handré Pollard and even Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu, especially because Sasha is still new in the team. So, and obviously Manie has got some more experience compared to Sasha. In terms of tactical kicking, Manie Libbok is very good. Yes, I know he missed one of his line kicks yesterday. That's unfortunate. But overall, I think that his tactical kicking is very good. I think his up and unders are actually very, very good as well. Maybe even better than both Pollard and Feinberg and Ngomezulu. I judge that by the ability of our chasers to actually get to those up and unders. They call them contestable kicks. It's only contestable if our wings or whoever it is that is chasing actually meets the defending player and they actually can contest for the ball. If the defending player receives the ball without too much of a challenge, then it's not contestable. So in that aspect, I think Manie Libbok is also very, very good. Here comes the crux of the matter though. His goal kicking is not up to scratch. At international level, you want a goal kicker who's going to give you 80-85% success. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that at international level, 80% is the minimum. Anything less than that, that's not good enough. I know Handré Pollard is probably closer to 75%, but if you look at pressure cooker situations, think Rugby World Cup semi-finals and final, 2019, 2023, Pollard, outstanding. It's as if there were ice in his veins. Manie Libbok had an opportunity last night to win a match for us with a last-minute penalty. I have no doubt that he would have loved that opportunity. No doubt he is aware of the criticism that he has faced, and that was a golden opportunity for him to silence his critics. And unfortunately for Manie, all he did was spur them on with the end result of that kick. Now this is what I think. If Manie Libbok is going to be our fly half, then somebody else in the team has to be there to kick. It could be Handré Pollard moving to 12. It could be Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu moving to 15. We know Damian Willemse can kick as well, but we're talking about 80-85% success rate here. At the moment, Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu is that man for us. He's not going to be that man in Nelspruit. So presumably it'll again be Pollard and Manie Libbok in the match day 23. That said, we can't have Manie in the team as our kicker. That's just the reality of it. I wish it weren't so, but this is just the way it is. If Manie Libbok is your kicker, then Manie Libbok cannot be in your team. That's the way that I feel about the matter. If somebody else is kicking, then I'm happy to have Manie in the team as the fly half. Think of it almost in a way like when we had Jaco van der Westhuizen at fly half, Butch James at fly half, even Henry Honeyball to a lesser extent. If that is your fly half, then you need a Percy Montgomery at the back as your fullback to do the goal kicking. If you don't have a Percy Montgomery doing the goal kicking, i.e. Willie Leroux, Apelele Fassi, then unfortunately Manie Libbok cannot be your fly half. Those are my thoughts on the matter. I'd be very interested to hear what you think. Let me know in the comment section down below. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, and I assume you are because you're still watching, you can not only like this video, but you can super thanks this video. What is that? How does that work? Let me explain. You'll see down there's a little heart sign with a dollar symbol inside of it. If you don't see it, there's 3 dots on a button down there. If you click on that button, then you will see the heart with the dollar sign inside of it. If you click on that, you'll be invited to make a small donation to my channel. Up to you what you would like it to be. It could be $1. It could be $1 million. I'm not going to stop you if you want to do that. Believe you me. Why do I want you to make a donation to my channel? Because I want to grow this channel. I want to do this full time, and I would love to go to the Rugby World Cup in 2027 and cover the tournament for you every day with daily videos. If you would like to see me do that for you and would like to contribute towards making that happen, the super thanks button is one of the ways that you can do that for me. In the meantime, if you're thinking about a donation but not entirely sure just yet, there's another thing you can do to help support me. You can crock roll the like button down there, or just click on it if you don't want to do anything illegal, as it were. And the other thing you can do is subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will speak to you later in the week when I give you a Springboks Pumas preview of the match in Nelspruit. See you in the next video.